Hey guys, this is Miss Carlson, and we are going to talk today about the characteristics of living things and how do we get the living in living things, meaning what are the characteristics that all must be met in order to be considered living. All this information is found in Chapter 1 of your textbook, Section 3, and we're just going to take a quick overview since it's all stuff you're a little bit familiar with already. So let's just start off with saying, just generally speaking, bios means life and ology means the study of. So biology then is the study of life. So what does a biologist do? Obviously a biologist is somebody who studies life. Now that's a very, very broad term. There are so many different branches of biology that I couldn't even, think of them all probably right now, which leaves you with a lot of room of interest to try to put yourself into that position in studying life. So let's go ahead and see what those characteristics are that living things share. The first one is that a living thing must be made of cells. No matter if it's only a singular cell or multiple cells, that is one of the requirements. And in this picture here is a white blood cell that helps fight infections and bacteria in your body. So it's kind of a cool little picture. The next one is you must be able to reproduce on your own in order to be a living thing, and there are two types of reproduction. We have asexual reproduction and we have sexual reproduction. Asexual requires one parent and the offspring is generally identical, and then sexual reproduction requires two parents and you, generally speaking, get genetically different offspring, but not always. Then living things must be based on a universal genetic code, so you can take a guess at what that genetic code is, and I'll give you a second to guess before I tell you. And it's in this picture right here. And yep, you were right if you said DNA. And then living things must be able to grow and develop over time. Alright, then the characteristic that's very important is obtaining and using material for energy. I know us as humans and many other animals have to consume food for energy and to use for this process of your body called metabolism, and it is a chemical breakdown of substances like food so that we can break it down and put it into a usable form for our bodies. And then we must be able to respond to our environment. This picture of a tree here that was obviously caught in a very, very significant storm responded to very strong winds. Not in a positive way. Next, maintaining a stable internal environment. This is kind of like when you're running on a very hot day, like yesterday was very muggy outside. You would generally produce a lot of sweat because that's the way your body cools itself off. That's just one example of homeostasis. Again, the definition for that is maintaining a stable internal environment. When your body shivers when it's cold, that shivering is movement that's intended to try to heat your body up. So all the sweating and the shivering when cold, both of those are examples of your body performing homeostasis and keeping itself stable. And then as a group, that organism must be able to evolve over time. And if you're not familiar with these guys in this picture, this is the android character. Instead of doing the old generic evolution picture with the ape, monkey type creature moving into a human, because that tends to cause a lot of misconceptions, I use the android guy, and it's kind of cool because he starts off with these different little icons are basically and I'm not a big technological person, but the way that the programs function, I'll have these different kind of names. Like there was gingerbread, I believe this one is ice cream sandwich, this one is jelly bean, and then so all these things that the android is eating is the way that the phone works, and it has evolved to get better and better and faster over time. So just a different example to show how things evolve over time. Lastly, there are many levels at which life can be studied. So we are mostly focusing on right now molecules, cells, and organisms themselves. That would be the biggest we would get is organism right now. Next semester we'll get into populations of a single organisms, communities, populations living in the same area in the biosphere. But for now we're just focusing on the smaller portion. And some of this might look familiar. So the atom is the smallest substance we're kind of looking at briefly. When you put some of those together, you get molecules or compounds. Put them into those together, you get organelles. Put organelles together, then you have a cell. Many cells build a tissue. Many tissues will build an organ. Many organs will then give us an organ system, and then we can have an entire organism. So one example for cells is like your skin cells, your epithelial cells. They will form together to form tissues like your skin tissues, which would then form your full organ and body of skin. And that really is the organ system for your skin, but there's all sorts of, your heart is an organ, your pancreas, all those things are formed, from the bottom on up. And you will need to know the order of this organization from smallest to largest, so you have a good scale or reference range in this picture here. Alright, so that is it. Those are the general characteristics of living things you need to be aware of. And if you have any questions or if anything went too fast, you can always go back and re-watch the video. Please make sure you're taking good Cornell notes and using that method. You can do this on a scratch sheet of paper or download one of my templates or just get a template already copied from my room. Have a good day, and we'll see you tomorrow.